A list of the omens occurring before, on, and after the day of Augustus's birth, from which his future greatness and lasting good fortune could clearly be prognosticated. In ancient days, part of the city wall of Velitrae had been struck by lightning, which was interpreted to mean that a native Velitraean would one day rule the world. Confidence in this prediction led the citizens to declare immediate war against Rome, and to keep on fighting until they were nearly wiped out. Only centuries later did the world ruler appear in the person of Augustus. According to Julius Marathus, a public portent warned the Roman people some months before Augustus's birth that nature was making ready to provide them with a king, and this caused the Senate such consternation that they issued a decree which forbade the rearing of any male child for a whole year. However, a group of senators whose wives were expecting prevented the decree from being filed at the public treasury, and thus becoming law, for each of them hoped that the prophesied king would be his own son. Attia, Augustus's mother, with certain married women friends, once attended a solemn midnight service at the temple of Apollo, where she had her litter set down and presently fell asleep, as the others also did. Suddenly, a serpent crept into her, and after a while glided away again. On awakening, she purified herself as if after sleeping with her husband. An irremovable colored mark, in the shape of a serpent, which then appeared on her body, made her ashamed to visit the public baths any more, and the fact that Augustus was born 9 months later suggested that he was the son of Apollo. Before she gave birth, Attia also dreamed that her internal organs were carried up to heaven, and overhung all lands and seas. Similarly, Augustus's father Octavius dreamed that the sun rose from her womb. Augustus's birth coincided with the Senate's debate on the Catilinarian conspiracy, and it is widely known that when Octavius arrived late, because of Attia's confinement, Publius Nigidius, hearing at what hour the child had been delivered, cried out, "The ruler of the world is now born." Octavius, during a subsequent expedition through the wilder parts of Thrace, reached a grove sacred to Liber Pater, where he consulted the priests about his son's destiny. After performing certain barbaric rites, they gave him the same response. For the wine they had poured over the altar caused a pillar of flame to shoot up far above the roof of the shrine, a sign never before granted except to Alexander the Great, when he sacrificed at that very altar. That night, Octavius had another dream. His son appeared in superhuman majesty, armed with the thunderbolt, scepter, and ornaments of Jupiter Optimus Maximus, crowned with a solar diadem, and riding in a belaureled chariot drawn by 12 dazzlingly white horses. Gaius Drusus records that, one evening, the infant Augustus was placed by the nurse in his cradle on the ground floor, but had vanished by daybreak. At last a search party found him lying on top of a lofty tower, his face turned towards the rising sun. Once, when he was just learning to talk at his grandfather's suburban estate, the frogs broke into a loud chorus of croaking. He told them to stop, and it is locally claimed that no frog has croaked there ever since. On a later occasion, as he sat lunching in a copse beside the Campanian road, close to the 4th milestone, an eagle, to his great surprise, swooped at him, snatched a crust from his hand, carried it aloft, and then, to his even greater surprise, glided gently down again and restored what had been stolen. Quintus Catulus, after rededicating the capital, dreamed 2 dreams on successive nights. In the first, Jupiter Optimus Maximus drew aside one of several boys who were playing near his altar, and slipped into the fold of the boy's toga the image of the Commonwealth that he held in his hand. Then Caedulus dreamed that he saw the same boy sitting in the lap of Jupiter Capitolinus. He tried to have him removed, but the god countermanded the order because the boy was being reared as the savior of the Commonwealth. Next day, Caedulus met Augustus, looked at him with startled eyes. They had never met before, and pronounced him the identical boy of his dreams. Another version of Caedulus's first dream is that a crowd of boys were begging Jupiter for a guardian. The god then pointed to one of them, saying, "Whatever you need, ask him," lightly touched the boy's mouth, and conveyed a kiss from it to his own lips. When Cicero escorted Julius Caesar to the Capitol, he happened to tell his friends what he had dreamed the night before. A boy of noble features, let down from heaven by a golden chain, stood at the temple door, and was handed a whip by Jupiter. At that moment Cicero's eyes caught Augustus, whom his granduncle Caesar had brought to the ceremony, but whom few of those present knew by sight. He cried, "There goes that very boy." When Augustus celebrated his coming of age, the seams of his senatorial tunic split, and it fell at his feet. Some people interpreted the accident as a sign that the senatorial order itself would someday be brought to his feet. As Divus Julius was felling a wood near Munda to clear a site for his camp, he noticed a palm tree and ordered it to be spared, palm fronds being a presage of victory. The tree then suddenly put out a new shoot, which, a few days later, had grown so tall as to overshadow it. What was more, a flock of doves began to nest in the fronds, although doves notoriously dislike hard, spiny foliage. This prodigy was the immediate reason, they say, for Caesar's desire that his grandnephew, and no one else, should succeed him. At Apollonia, Augustus and Agrippa together visited the house of Theogenes, the astrologer, and climbed upstairs to his observatory. They both wished to consult him about their future careers. Agrippa went first, and was prophesied such almost incredibly good fortune that Augustus expected a far less encouraging response, and felt ashamed to disclose his nativity. Yet, when at last, after a good deal of hesitation, he grudgingly supplied the information for which both were pressing him, Theogenes rose and flung himself at his feet, and this gave Augustus so implicit a faith in the destiny awaiting him that he even ventured to publish his horoscope, and struck a silver coin stamped with Capricorn, the sign under which he had been born. When he returned to Rome from Apollonia, at news of Caesar's assassination, the sky was clear of clouds, but a rainbow-like halo formed around the sun, and suddenly lightning struck the tomb of Caesar's daughter Julia. Then, when he first took the auspices as consul, 12 vultures appeared to him just as they had to Romulus. And the livers of all the sacrificial victims were seen to be doubled inwards at the bottom, an omen which, experts agreed, presaged a wonderful future for Augustus.